All righty, let's go ahead and get started. So in regards to the weekly drawing, the basics lessons, June is an experiment in trying to provide some inspiration towards getting outside and drawing and using drawing as a way to explore our world, maybe enjoy a moment, kind of provide a bit of a meditative moment in a particular spot, but also use it as sort of kind of a fun way to add on to any kind of outdoor adventure you might be having, even if it's a coffee break outside or at the midway point on a walk around your neighborhood, or maybe you're going for a hike or traveling to an exciting destination. Sketching can be a wonderful way to absorb the surroundings, and really a wonderful way to do so, even if you have very minimal drawing skills. In a sense, what we're doing today is more about uh, appreciating and exploring and kind of just allowing ourselves to be absorbed in whatever's in front of us and really try and be there for that duration of time. If you've been joining through the lessons throughout June, it's a bit repetitive in terms of the technique we're using while drawing. I definitely promise as we move past June, we'll return to the normal sort of broader spectrum of drawing techniques. For today, any blank paper or drawing pen or pencil is perfect. Anything at all you happen to have at your desk will work. And I have some a large assortment of greenery for us to draw from today. It was raining this morning and now it's not, so hopefully that's all going to go okay. Also, being that we're outside and live, there might be dogs barking, chickens making noises, anything might happen. That I saw, actually the greenhouse belongs to our neighbor and their kids were doing some chores, so we might see some neighborhood kids. So there may be interruptions. But before we get started drawing, we're just going to do a quick, or I'm going to provide a quick overview of how we're going to be sketching, and we're going to use a technique called contour drawing. So I'm going to use this pen I have. And so with contour drawing, let me see, switch sides. You want to follow around the edges, creases, crevices of whatever your subject is, kind of pretending like you're a little bug walking around the surface of this object. And you just follow it around as you move along whatever it is you happen to be drawing. One particular rule with contour drawing is that once your pen or pencil hits the page, we want to not pick it back up. So we're leaving our pen or pencil on the page. And this has a really interesting effect of not allowing you to really participate in kind of much or any do-overs. So you can't erase, you can't really try again. You just have to sort of go with where the lines fall and keep moving from there. And the act of that, even though it feels maybe a bit constrictive, it has a wonderful way, at least for me, of sort of getting me out of the mindset of, erasing or trying to do it over or trying to do it better. We're just kind of have to live with however the drawing goes. And I think the results can be really fun. So I'll wrap this up really quick. It's okay if lines cross over each other. So say, for instance, if I wanted to go down here, that's totally okay. You're not trying to puzzle it out in regards to where the lines go. You're just kind of rolling with wherever you end up. And plants as a subject matter are really great because they're organic shapes tend to be very forgiving in regards to drawing draftsmanship. So if we look at the scene of everything in front of us, you know, all of it doesn't have to have the same kind of specific or accurate structure that maybe drawing something like a car or person might elicit. And so, you know, plants are a great place to start, and they're often found, you know, in most places we might venture out. They're just a, you know, very accessible subject matter to draw from, and especially as a beginner. So with that, we are going to get started drawing. We are going to take a few minutes to really try to wake up our eyes towards seeing. So with that, what I'd like to ask you to do is on a side of your paper, when I shift it back to the camera view of our drawing subject, we're just going to take a couple minutes to draw without looking at your paper. The purpose of this being is we really want to try and, you know, jog the that scene and observational mode, and really kind of sink into the idea of not being too invested in what's happening on the paper. There's a topic I'd like to share as we get started drawing about slow looking. It's a activity some museums have been doing where the participants, you know, might spend 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour looking at one particular painting. And I think it has a really great a similarity to this style of drawing. We want to really kind of sink into it. So I'm going to shift to our drawing subject for today. And with that, we'll go ahead and for the next few minutes, look at some point in this scene. Maybe it's leaves or flowers or some of the stems, just any point at all that you want to focus on. And let's try to draw it without looking at the paper. And so I'm looking up. And again, we're doing this in the same manner of a contour drawing where our pen or pencil doesn't lift up off the page. And we just keep our focus 100% on whatever it is we're drawing. And this really kind of pushes up against, you know, some of the more critical thoughts we might have about our drawing skills. And it really kind of challenges that part of our brain that might want to have a lot of conversation about how good we are at drawing or whatever that is. So for this, we're just trying to be here at this place at this particular time and really take a close look at it, and really kind of that idea of slow looking at maybe trying to see, you know, what are 10 things that we wouldn't have seen if we just looked at it for, you know, 5 or 10 seconds. You know, and there's also the other senses that are happening too right now. It's tricky because you guys aren't here in person, but I'm hoping some of the audio might come through. But, you know, there's birds and there's the breeze. It rained this morning, so there's that smell of the rain from earlier today. All of that starts to sort of funnel its way in as you just simply, you know, start to take a look at your environment and in a sense use the drawing as a way to keep your focus there, and not move past it too quickly. So I think we'll stop there for now. And just so to demonstrate that I wasn't like trying to look or anything, you know, here's where I got in that exercise. So it's very okay that, you know, things go in all sorts of directions. That's totally fine and perfect. But now we're going to shift back. And at this point, you know, we can totally go ahead and start to look back and forth between the paper and the subject. There's a lot happening in what's in front of us. There's leaves and flowers and bushes and all sorts of stuff. But just, pick one point and just start moving forward, again, trying to follow it as if you're, a small insect or a small scientist taking a look at this particular um, flora and fauna, and just see where you go. And if you feel, it can be fun to kind of oscillate back to not looking at the paper so much. Um, and if you feel like you're getting stuck, or you can start someplace else as well. I'm going to stop talking for a little bit, and please just go ahead and get started drawing. Um, just picking a spot to get started with. And even though this might look like a complicated assortment of stuff to draw, um, again, we're just picking one point. You can also sort of approach each shape that you encounter differently. You might try to get very detailed with, say, each particular leaf or flower, or you might just do an outline and then move on to another portion of it. And kind of work forward however it seems most interesting to you. You might find patterns in particular shapes, a leaf that repeats itself across the plant, or a flower that repeats itself. And then you can kind of start to create a little mini library as you sketch about how to approach the next flower or leaf. And again, if at any point you start to feel or have the thoughts about, your level of drawing skill, I would just recommend reminding yourself that you're here to be more of an observer rather than a good drawer. Um, and we're using the drawing as a way to sort of heighten our observation and our digest the environment, I guess. Much like a photograph, just at a much slower pace. I think this would actually be a really wonderful activity at a museum to, at a piece of sculpture or painting, just as a way, not so much to replicate the painting, but really sort of take in the painting. And I think it's nice to note that we've really are only going to have about 15 or 20 minutes of drawing time. So already I feel like I've really kind of I've stepped away from my Deloitte day. I feel like I've already had a nice drawing moment. And if I had to stop right now, I think I would have kind of had the kind of mental break I would look forward to withdrawing. Um, it doesn't take a whole lot of time to really sort of provide an escape via drawing. I know sometimes a lot of like activities, especially, maybe meditation or I don't know, there's some activities that I know they're really good for me, but I still kind of spend a lot of my time contemplating my day, which can be good. And I figure out a lot, maybe a lot of problems, but um, it's nice to have something that I really sort of try to shut down the things I need to be, maybe concerned about at different times of the day. But right now, I want to step away for a moment. And on last week, I brought out some watercolors as a way to just demonstrate really quick ways to add a little bit more to your sketch. So as I start to finish up, I thought I'd try another experiment with the idea of something really accessible. So I brought out a highlighter, and as I continue to finish my sketch, I'm just gonna take this highlighter and see what I can do to kind of add a bit more fun details in an easy, accessible way. Mostly just to demonstrate, um, how it doesn't take a whole lot to, of tools or techniques to not only enjoy sketching, but then also, you know, bring a little bit more to it with really basic tools. We just have a few minutes left. Does anybody have any questions or? All right. Also too, I think these types of sketches, I love to give them a date just because they kind of helps uh, place them, in time in this particular moment. So I'm going to give my sketch a date. Um, And, if you have a sketchbook or a journal, it can be really fun to kind of, it just gives it a little bit of extra like place in my mind as time spent here and right now with the date. Righty, so 1 minute left, and just I'll give you a quick view of where I ended up. And again, just super simple sketching, nothing, that's based on a whole lot of draftsmanship or some of the rules of drawing and perspective and structure. Really basic way to add a little color to the sketching, and, take in and enjoy a particular moment, a particular place. And, now I feel like I really know this bush and everything happening here just a little bit better. So, if you can think of any upcoming activities that you might have that you can, just as a way to sort of absorb that place a little bit more, sketching, this type of sketching, I think is a really wonderful way to do it. For June, we're going to do this one more time. Next week, I'm also going to be giving away a sketchbook. It's this particular type of sketchbook that I'm sketching myself. So I give one away at the last week of every month. So please join for that. And I hope everybody has a great rest of your day and week. And we'll be here again next week. So bye, everybody.